Lucky number 7 on the countdown, like its predecessor, is a mixed bag of sorts. It's part typical Bond movie, part spy thriller. And while it's not as refined as Goldfinger was in terms of the Bond formula, it's much more polished than Dr. No. So I present Sean Connery's favorite James Bond film, From Russia with Love. In the film, Spectre looks to fulfill one of its goals against James Bond, that goal being revenge, the death of their beloved operative, Dr. No. Their plan is to bait MI6 with a Lecter decoder device, knowing full well that Bond will be the man chosen for the job. To further complicate matters, Spectre uses a Russian cipher clerk named Tatiana Romanova, or Tanya as her friends call her, to unknowingly have an affair with Bond that will humiliate him before he is killed. So, with Tanya's help, Bond is able to obtain the Lecter, but not before many attempts on his life by not only Spectre, but the Russians as well. Like Dr. No, this is also more of a straightforward spy story, but I think this particular entry is a lot more exciting than the previous film. I never really found my attention wandering at all like I do during Dr. No, which is why this film is in the top 10 and that one is not. I think this film has the best overall villain of the Sean Connery era. Red Grant may be a big, tough right-hand man like, say, I don't know, Oddjob, but he's quite clever as well, like you would expect from another Spectre villain that I could name. Lastly, Sean Connery really begins to show what makes him the fan favorite. He's not as rough around the edges as in his first outing, so we get to see prime Sean Connery, which would last until, I think, You Only Live Twice, but some people may disagree with me. I only have one minor problem with the film. It's not really sure how and where to end for a little bit. That whole boat battle near the end of the film seems so forced and tacked on. Well, at least to me it does. I've always felt like after the fight with the helicopter, they should have went right to Bond and Tanya in Venice. The boat battle makes me think that the filmmakers were under the impression that the film didn't have enough action or something, so they felt the need to throw that in there. Again, a minor little detail, but it's always puzzled me. I would like to mention before I make my closing statements that there was a video game adaptation of this film. In 2005, Electronic Arts, or simply EA to those of us who are gamers, made a game based on this film. They managed to get the likenesses of all the major characters and even got Sean Connery to record all new dialogue as James Bond. While I do like the game, I think it's a bit odd to see young Sean Connery's face but hear old Sean Connery's voice. And I know the game can't have the same methodical pace as the film, but they made it more over the top, the story. They made the story more over the top than Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice combined. I mean, for God's sake, the final battle is Bond shooting at Red Grant while Grant is in control of some gigantic robotic octopus machine, which, by the way, that part was really easy, well, for me anyway. But any silliness or weirdness for me is negated by the fact that they actually got to include the jetpack from Thunderball. And of course, you get to drive the iconic Aston Martin DB5. So, you know, that makes up for any silly, ridiculous, over the top stuff. And on an interesting note, this game marks the final performance, at least for now, of Sean Connery as James Bond. So, something to think about, I suppose. This is really my go-to film when I'm in the mood for a good spy thriller. Yes, there are other options in this series, like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Doctor No, or For Your Eyes Only, but I think this film does the straight up spy film best. And with that, I give the film 5 out of 5 stars. I can think of no film better to begin the best of the best in terms of Sean Connery's run as James Bond. Well, that's it for number 7 on our countdown. Luckily, we won't have to look very far for the next entry, so see you next week then.
Who are you?
The name is Bond. James Bond.